this called?
With the postponements,
Okay.
the two postponements.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. Mr. Chairman, on the AM docket, there is a preliminary matter. Number one on the AM docket, the address of 101 East 25th Street, Terra Cafe, an application for a new Class B restaurant license. That matter has been postponed. Number two on the AM docket, Tizeta, Ephraim, and Patrick Butterazzi Jr., MHF Baltimore DT Operation 5, LLC, trading as Fairfield Inn and Suites, 101 South President Street. This is a Class B, a beer, hotel, motel, beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service and request for live entertainment. Please come forward.
Identify yourself, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston, Muller, McLean, and Reed here on behalf of the applicant.
Good morning, and can you raise your right hand, please, ma'am?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name, please.
Zita Ephraim?
Okay. Ms. Ephraim, do you know whether Fairfield Inn and Suites has ever been represented by Whiteford Taylor and Preston?
Yes.
Not to my knowledge.
You're saying yes, you know that?
Oh,
or-
no, I'm
Not
sorry.
through her company, I can tell you that.
No.
Okay. Just want, it showed up on my conflict sheet, and I had to ask. Okay. You want to?
May I ask?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I want to ask a similar question. Magna Hospitality Group, is there any connection to Magna Entertainment or Magna Automotive or a Frank Stronach?
No, not at all.
Came up in my little
Your
firm.
conflicts check as well.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You want to proceed?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We are here, unfortunately, for the second time. This was approved by the prior board back in last year, and we are here because the 180-day rule hit us. We were a week out of the 180 days for getting all of our permits and everything in the file. The file is absolutely complete, but because, the rules are the rules, we're back here again. Ms. Ephraim and Mr. Butterazzi were both approved by the prior board. The whole transfer was approved. I'd be happy to go through any testimony the board would like to hear again. Need be.
Can you just, because we're new to the
I understand
issue,
completely.
can you just give us some background on Ms. Ephraim, Mr. Butterazzi, and what's going on here?
Certainly. Magna Hospitality took over the ownership and operation of this hotel last year. So we're transferring the hotel from Brewmasters LLC to the Magna entity that you see before you. Ms. Ephraim, could you please tell the board a little bit about Magna and what your roles and responsibilities are?
Sure. Magna Hospitality Group is the company that I work for as a chief administrative officer. We are a management company. We also have our own funds that we raise to develop and purchase hotels and manage them. And this happens to be one of our hotels that we own.
Okay, and this is, and how, is it open and operating?
It is open and operating.
And has been for,
It never closed during the transition.
okay. And how long have you been with Mazda, ma'am?
With Magna Hospitality Group?
Magna, right.
Since 1999.
Okay, and so you've done this before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And we don't have any letters in support or opposition, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, do the commissioners have questions?
Just tell us a little bit about Magna, where it's based, how long it's been around.
Sure. Magna
companies that it
Hospitality.
owns.
I'm sorry.
That's it?
Magna Hospitality Group was founded in 1999. In our offices, the corporate offices in Warwick, Rhode Island. And we develop, own, and manage hotels, mostly in the East Coast.
And you currently have 25 hotels in your
25
portfolio?
hotels in our portfolio.
Is the Fairfield Inn and Suites the only property in Baltimore? Or are there other properties in Baltimore?
No, there is a Holiday Inn near the BWI airport.
Okay. It's a different county, isn't it?
That's right, Anne Arundel County.
And are you based in Baltimore yourself, or no? Where are you based?
In our corporate office in
In
Rhode
Rhode
Island.
Island.
Yes.
Says
So-
here you live in Boston.
I live in Boston, yes.
Okay. So who's going to be managing the day-to-day operations at the hotel?
Our general manager is Dawn McManus, and she is at the hotel here.
And is it your understanding that she'd have primary responsibility for the liquor license and its operations and compliance?
The day-to-day operations, yes.
Okay.
And she's got experience with that?
Yes, she has, and she has been with our company for over 10 years.
So she's in place now, and she's been in place. I mean, I remember when the property was being built, I watched it out of my office window. But how long has Dawn been at this location?
Since we purchased the hotel.
Okay. All right. And that was
Last year.
last year. Okay.
And prior to that, she was actually working as the general manager at the one at BWI.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Has Magna Hospitality Group had any violations in its portfolio with respect to liquor violations?
No, sir.
None that you're aware of?
No.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Okay. Is there anything further you wish to add?
No, sir.
Okay, on the basis then of the information contained in the application, with the understanding that a prior board had already approved it, but that it wasn't timely, and you had to go through the application process again, on the basis of the proffers that council have made in the testimony of Ms. Ephraim, I would vote to approve the transfer.
Just one, Marjorie Rogers, Cheshire, and Tony Rogers, they're coming off the license.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
That is correct.
All right. I approve the transfer.
I concur. Good luck.
Good luck, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any exhibits?
No exhibits.
Number 3 on the AM docket, Jess Fair Navy and Damon Briscoe, Side Street LLC, trading as Side Street Lounge, 625-27 North Glover Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership and requesting delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
Counsel?
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the applicant.
Good morning. Sir, would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And your name, sir, please?
yes, we, Mavi.
Okay.
This is similarly, the case that came prior, the applicant was approved by the prior board, I think it was in November or December of
November 14.
November 14th, and got everything done, except it was about 190 days, so he had to reapply. He has all his UNO, alcohol awareness, sales tax, traders, he's got all the licenses that would be necessary to operate the establishment, but unfortunately, he had to reapply, and brings us back before the board at this time.
Can you tell us a little bit about Mr. Mavi, or can he tell us?
Yeah, he's been working in the alcoholic beverage industry on Washington Boulevard for Chris's, a place called Chris's, and for the past 3 or 4 years. He does everything from checking cards to sales, and this will be his place. When to get in there, he'll operate it by himself. He'll make sure that whoever he gets to work will be alcohol certified, and he's actually going to move upstairs there. He's buying the building also. He's going to move up to this second floor.
And how many people will be employed?
I think about 2 or 3 to start. It's a BD7 tavern on Glover Street. It really has a colorful past, which I don't think you'll be interested in, but.
Is Glover Street near Washington Boulevard?
No, that's, Washington Boulevard's over Montgomery Wards, then this is over in East Baltimore, close to Fayette Street.
Okay.
It's a little street that's, it's a double building there.
Okay. Commissioners?
So you currently are working at a location with a liquor license.
1269 Washington Boulevard.
And what is the name of that location?
Chris Liquor and Grill.
Chris Liquors. And how long have you been working there?
It's about 3.5 years.
3.5 years. You're not the owner of Chris Liquors? No.
It's my cousin.
Oh, okay, your cousin owns it. In the time that you've worked at Chris Liquors, are you aware of any problems with that license and the operations?
No.
You're not aware of any problems? Have there been any problems at Chris Liquors during the time you've been working there?
Not me.
Not you. Do you know whether you said your cousin is the owner?
Yes, my.
Do you know whether he has had any problems?
He might have. I'm not sure.
Okay, you can't speak
Never
for
tell
him.
him anything.
Oh, he never tells you anything? Okay. Does your cousin live at the building?
No.
Do you know whether there've been any customer complaints or any violations of the?
Sometimes people, they just call. Nothing is wrong there. And people come out and then they don't see anything.
Oh, you say people call?
Yeah.
What do you mean people call? Like somebody calls and complains?
Right.
Do you know who it is that calls and complains?
Maybe from the neighborhood.
Do you have any idea who it is that calls?
I don't know.
You don't know. Has anyone ever come into the store and say, I'm tired of you, I've been calling, why don't you make
Not
changes?
when I was there.
Not while you were there. All right, and your plan is to buy the building at 625 North Glover Street. So who's going to take your place at Chris Liquors?
No, he still has.
He'll still be there.
Yeah.
So, but he'll hire somebody else to
Right,
fill
yeah,
your
yeah,
place.
yeah.
All right, and at the time, during the time that you've worked at Chris Liquors, do you feel like you've come to have an understanding of how to operate a liquor license?
Right.
And where will you be buying the liquor for your new
From
place?
wholesale stores.
From who?
Wholesale.
Wholesale stores.
Wholesale stores. Okay.
Sound like whole fish, but I don't think.
Oh, well, yeah. And you're TAM certified,
Yes,
and you'll continue that at the new location?
yes.
All right, and
And actually, the title work was all done. They were ready to go to settlement, and they're waiting now for this to finish the transfer off.
okay. All right, well, those are all the questions that I have for you.
I just have maybe one or two questions. I noticed in the inspector's comments, although the inspection was done back in October, that there was some trash in the rear yard of the location. I assume that's been addressed for several months since that, but obviously that's a concern, and we want to make sure that as you're renovating, if you are renovating and as you go forward, that those items are addressed.
Right.
And you understand that.
I understand that, yes.
I really have no other questions.
Just one other, is this location open and operating
I think
now?
it's not open now, but I'm not sure when it was closed. I want to think, because when the application was in, another one went in.
So here's the deal. I mean, it according to our paperwork, there was an inspection on October 25, 2016, and it was open and operating. So do we know if it's still open and operating? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't know.
Commissioner, if
Oh,
I could,
am I
Mr.
looking the
Chairman.
wrong thing?
No, I do note that this October inspection said that the establishment was last open in January or February of 2016.
I'm confused by these dates. You said the prior board approved it, but this says that all this happened in November of last year. We were at the board then.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and
Is it 15 or 16? That's why I'm just wondering.
November 16, honestly.
Okay. But then it was this board, and it just wasn't timely.
He got everything done, he was ready to go in, and they said,
Okay.
you waited too long.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out the timeline on this. It was last opened January 2016. When was the first application made?
The one before, this one? Let's see if I have it.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out if this license is still viable or not.
It says that's when it was approved.
Yeah.
Well, that was just last month.
That's the first one?
Oh, no, that was last year. Okay. And that was before us. Okay.
Right.
When was the public hearing for the first one? This
Okay. So the approval was in February of last year.
January.
January, okay.
Give the exact date.
January 14th, 2016.
Okay. That would have been a prior board, okay.
And then he finally got everything done by June. And
Wait.
and they couldn't,
But it was still operating in November.
I mean, I don't know. As far as I know, they were, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Moore, did you have further questions? No.
No.
Okay. On the basis of the evidence contained in the application, proffers of counsel, and the testimony of Mr. Mavi, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I'm going to defer.
I vote to approve as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just, I just want to say I'm confused, because you said it was not open in January 2016.
I don't know when it was open or not, but I know we had the hearing in January, and it was approved, and they were trying to get everything done. He got all his approvals, and then what happened was, it was like January 3rd, June 30th, he finally got it all done, which was outside the 180 days.
Right, and then our notes say that it was open October 25, 2016, but he says it wasn't.
Well, I don't think he knows it was
Well,
open.
and that's the issue.
Ex-owner.
That's the issue.
Yeah. So he-
So I just, so I'm not taking a position. And I want to get an answer as to where, what's going on, and we can come back if we have to, but.
Madam Commissioner, if I may.
Yeah, yes, please.
I mean, according to the date and timeline, the last inspection performed by the agency was 10/25/16, and at that time, the inspector found the place open and operating. I've asked the chief inspector if he had any personal knowledge of this location, and he will address the commission in a minute if it pleases the commission.
Sure, yeah, because it's not consistent with the testimony, so we just want to be clear on what we're doing. I mean, if it was open in October, there's no issue, but if his testimony is accurate and it wasn't, then there is an issue.
That was open then.
Inspector, can you be sworn, please?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Mark Fossler, Chief Inspector, Baltimore City Liquor Board. I had gone to this establishment, and I interviewed a neighbor who's, and this is in October of last year. I interviewed a neighbor and said that the establishment was last open in January or February 2016. That there had been people performing renovations at the location. I went around the rear of the location, and I made note at the time that the general appearance was that this establishment had been closed for some time. So that was in October. And that if they've been open, I would ask if the licensee could present any kind of, taxes paid, the receipts or the invoices from the wholesalers that have, that's basically my testimony. If you have any further questions, be glad to answer.
So, this is inaccurate, what's on our thing, that it was open in October.
Yes, it appears to be.
I think that's my mistake, Chairman, that the drop-down box, I made an error.
Okay.
On the drop-down box, but in my notes, I had concluded that the establishment had been closed for some time.
Okay.
So, all right, just so we can clarify. So the first application that was approved in January a year ago, the transfer didn't occur within 180 days, is that correct?
Correct, because I think he had everything done by June 30th.
Okay.
Approved January of 2016, then he had to reapply because he wasn't.
Okay. And Commissioner Moore, your concern with the current application is what?
It's not, you can't transfer a license that is expired. for lack of use. And that's the key question. When was this last used? And I don't think we have clarity. It certainly was not in use in October of 2016, and it may not have been in use since January or February of 2016.
January is when you had your hearing.
Well, we didn't have a hearing.
Said
The
you
board did, it wasn't us.
No, that's what
or
it
was
said.
it 2015?
No, it was,
2016.
yeah. And we didn't come in until April.
Right. So the prior board. Can we just get, we have to have clarity, and I don't know that we have it, and we need to have it. And it just seems to me that unless we know when this license was last used, or that it was at least in use when the transfer was approved, it looks like this has been dormant for at least 14 months.
So, Mr. Akris, can you be sworn for a minute?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So, did you present this to the board on the basis that it was open in October?
Yes, and Thomas Akris, Deputy Executive Secretary. So when I took a look at the report, there's a Dropbox that we have that says open or closed, and I'll look at that on our application report to make the determination if it's open, doing a cursory check. In this case, in the report indicates that in the comment section, it seemed like when Chief Foster looked at the location, it was closed. And that raises the question of the validity of the license.
Right.
So if we're going to take a step back to the original application for transfer, which was filed, or at least the prior board heard January 14, 2016. I have a copy in my hand of an inspector's report that was performed on November 25th, 2015 in preparation for the January hearing from the prior board. So if I may, I'll just give that.
That'll be received, yes.
For evidence. So as you can see in that report, the inspector who went there stated that it was indeed open and operating.
So it was a live license that was transferred a year ago.
It was a live license that was transferred the January 14th. So if we were to take the rule, I believe it was January 14th, and do 180 days, this license somewhere in mid-June, we'll say June 14th, between maybe June 10th to June 14th, should have transferred. It did not. And if the question is when this establishment closed. So let's just say that with a pending transfer application, you have 180 days. If this establishment has been closed 180 days post June 10th to December, I guess that would be December 10th or something like that, if we're going to estimate 180 days.
Mm-hmm.
Then, and if it hasn't been in use, it would expire. So the question is when he filed his application for transfer, right? So when was the application filed for transfer here?
I don't
October
know.
28th.
So the applications are filed October 20, I think, is that correct? Let me just see.
Excuse me.
There's a notary stamp on that date.
December 6th, it should have been December. It was in December ad. It was filed December 6th. So so we have 180 days, and I'd ask Mr. Kadinsky, I don't know if he knows or not, whether this establishment was open and operating between January of 2016 and June of 2016.
I don't know.
Okay.
So no.
So
So there's an issue.
there could be an issue. There
So
could be an
can we
issue.
get an affidavit or something, Mr. Kudensky?
And I'll have to, Mr. Cohen represents the owner, so
Seller.
I'll have to get him, David, I'll have to call him and ask him, because he represents the people that own the place.
Can you try to get an affidavit from them about when it was open? And, I mean, we'd like to approve it, but if it's expired, we
No, I
can't.
got it, I understand it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, in addition to the affidavit, we can also request the receipts for sales tax paid to the state of Maryland, invoices from wholesalers.
Okay. Let's try to get some evidence so we can go forward with this, okay?
So you're saying it's approved pending getting that information? So you
Well,
want the
I don't know
correct-
if we
I
can.
think I would suggest that we
Continuation.
Yeah, let's continue it.
continue this.
I mean, I'd be happy to revisit it next week if we can get the evidence.
If I can,
Yeah.
you're doing next week, 5 o'clock.
We are at 5
Yeah,
o'clock
sorry,
next
my
week.
docket.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information submitted, we can actually do it on the record on the 16th in the evening?
Yeah,
based
we
on
can
our
do it.
findings?
It will only take a minute if you have the,
I mean, I'll have to get somebody to come down for, for the owner.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's continue it until next week, okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
No, any exhibits?
No exhibits, thank you.
Well, these are exhibits, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
All right.
Read there are exhibits.
yes.
I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Inspection Report, Inspector Joanne Martin, dated 11/25/2015. Thank you.
Sanjay Shah, Charles Uthenreither, and Shigar Kamar Patel, Kosher Inc., trading as Miles Spirits, 6630 Reisterstown Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer. Please come forward.
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of Kosha Inc. and Chirag Patel and Sanjay Shah. Mr. Uttenreiter couldn't be here today.
Can we get these gentlemen to raise their right hands, please?
Sure, absolutely.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And Mr. Patel's first name?
Chirag Patel. Chirag. Chirag. Last name is Patel. Patel.
Can you hand that to me?
Mr. Shah?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been represented by Whiteford Taylor and Preston, the law firm? Are you familiar with the law firm? He's staring blankly at me, so I don't know what that means.
No.
Okay. Okay. Showed up on my conflict sheet. Thank you. You may proceed.
If I may proffer, this is a situation where Kosha Inc. is the existing license owner. The existing licensees are Mr. Shah and Mr. Uttenreiter. Mr. Patel is simply buying an interest, and it's a majority interest, so we have to have a hearing in this situation. It's 90% of the interest. We've also brought Mr. Uttenreiter's interest in line with the rules that the board observes at this time, from 0% to 1%. Mr. Shah has 9%. Mr. Patel lives outside the city. He is looking at a place in the city, is my understanding. He's got 10 years of experience. It's my understanding that any place he's ever worked at has never received a violation. He is aware of the board's concerns with regards to purchasing from wholesalers and making sure to card underage minors. He is currently TAM certified, is my understanding. Nothing about the establishment is in any way, shape, or form going to change except for the shareholders. It's going to continue operating as it sits. I believe it's inside a shopping center, so it isn't a situation where there's the hours are kind of predetermined based on the shopping center's hours. And I don't believe we've seen any opposition. I think the license transferred to the current two licensees in 2014, and they haven't had any violations.
That appears to be true. And Mr. Patel, what is your background?
I'm also.
Can you speak into this, please?
Yeah, I also work in a retail business for the liquor store.
For whom?
For the liquor stores.
Oh, okay.
So I had almost over 10-year experience.
Okay. But you're not going to be doing that anymore? Or are you? You're going to be doing both jobs?
No.
No. This will be full-time?
Full time, yes.
Okay. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
What exactly did you do in the liquor retail business? Can you-
Actually, work at the liquor store.
Okay, the one that we're talking about today, right now.
Not on that.
All right, which one did you work at?
In Harford County.
Oh, in Hartford or Hartford?
Hartford.
Hartford would be Connecticut.
No, Hartford. Hartford in a bar.
When I first moved to Baltimore, it took me a while to figure this out. It's the same with Alisana Street. So in Hartford County, did you have any problems with that license when you had it?
Never.
Never any violations, no underage drinking, no problems with purchasing?
Nothing.
Great. Okay. Those are all the questions I had.
Mr. Patel, your counsel had mentioned that you're planning to move to the city, so I assume you live outside of the city or some distance away. It's not indicated on our notes where, but can you tell us, your plan in terms of moving, because you are, I'm sorry, you live in Bel Air. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At least personally, one of my concerns is you have a fairly significant interest, and this is a privilege, and there's a lot of responsibilities, as I'm certain your council has shared with you. Can you just tell me your plans in terms of being closer to the establishment?
In the future, yeah,
What's the future, sir?
because of the school on the kids, so
So you have to finish this school year, is that what you're saying? But you will, by the fall, you will be there?
they're close to the location, yes.
How old are your children?
14 and 9.
9 and 14. So are you talking about the school year or when they're done their schooling completely?
A school year.
School year, okay.
Okay. On the basis then of the evidence that is contained in the application, the proffers from council, and testimony from Mr. Patel, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I would vote to approve.
I approve as well. Good luck.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Will we be excused?
You may.
Thank you.
Here you go, Mr. Hurdle. Mr. Hurdle. Here you go. Thank you. No exhibits for the record.
Yeah.
Jeffrey,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
wanted to say, I see Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark. Are you here for the, oh, okay, I thought you were here for Terra Cafe. That's been postponed.
No, I'm here for Holy Free.
Okay, all right.
Well, we're about to call it.
Come on up. Sorry. Yeah.
Very last on the AM docket, Mr. Chairman, Jeffrey Danick, Holy for Oli's, Inc., trading as Holy for Oli's, 908-12 West 36th Street. This is a Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license, a request for hardship extension. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the licensee.
Good morning. Can I ask both the licensee and the councilwoman to raise their right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Mr. Kudensky,
For the-
you've written a letter. You want to tell us about this?
Well, there was a fire at this establishment in August of last year, and they were trying to make the property rebuilt, and it's taken a long time. I got pictures, I only got one set, and they're along the way, but, you know, with the permits with the city and so forth, they probably would need a 180-day extension to finish. The first, as you go through, the first picture is what it looked like after the fire, then you'll see the work that was done.
So what's the status of the renovation at this point?
About 60%, would you say?
Yes, well, we're, Jeffrey Danick, Holy for Holies. We're still waiting on the actual building permits. Been going through that process for a couple of weeks now. I guess the city permits computers were down all last week, so kind of holding things up. Now the demolition permits were obtained, so all the demolition work has been complete. Smoke remediation, which involved spraying everything with a industrial lacquer to seal all the walls in. So we're ready to roll as soon as the city approves the permits, and have professional contractors that have been hired, builders, and they're
You know what caused the fire?
undisclosed electrical fire in the ceiling in the kitchen.
Mrs. Clark, are you here to support this gentleman or oppose?
I am. Half of City Hall and all of my actual family insists that I be here to support it, and it's my privilege. And I might add that I'm having permit problems myself with a place called The Book Thing. I know I don't know, but I know that permits are very slow coming out these days because I know when applications have gone in. And
So I take
it's
it
a
you've
hardship.
invested some money in this.
Yes.
It's been there about 15 years?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
20 without the license. We started in '96.
I hope you were covered by insurance.
I was to some degree, yeah. That was part of the process. It was, about 4 months of negotiations with the insurance company before anything could really start. So we had to just kind of sit there and wait. And my nature is to get in there and start tearing things apart and start working and start trying to rebuild it. But under my private adjuster's advice, they kind of told me to stay out of it and don't go in there and do anything until we know that we're going to get paid from the insurance company. So it's a long process of just kind of sitting there and a hard process of just sitting there and waiting,
I want to give them an opportunity to deny your claim. Commissioners have questions?
No, I don't have questions. It's very unfortunate. And and I guess my question more is I mean, the commonality between here and the book thing is a fire, and does it take longer to get
No, it
through
just
permits
takes
because there was a
forever
fire?
I mean, it's just me and permits right now.
Oh, it's
my
you.
experience. No, no, it's not me. I mean, my district.
Okay.
My district.
General, yeah.
In
Okay.
general, it's just been, because
So-
I know very precisely when all these finished plans went in, and so, for example, with the book thing, a couple months ago, the roof went in, and it hasn't been permitted yet. And now everything, the rest of the building's in.
Are they restoring that?
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, I got a house full of books that all my family brings me, and I'm really waiting hard.
Yeah, I have a car full of books, and I have a husband who's asking me when I'm going to get rid of them. And I know we're here about your case.
I know, sorry about that, but I have a trunk full, too, from my daughter.
There also a Maryland book, like the food, Maryland, a book bank.
Oh, there, you know
Oh,
what?
the book
There-
bank,
there-
but
there is
the
one.
book thing is like,
I know, I understand.
it's kind of like holy for holies. It's like,
It's a
we
neighborhood
grew
thing.
up with it, it's our thing.
I was just relieving you
But
of the
yeah, and I
burden.
did want to say that about this establishment. It's really, he's been here forever. He lives
I'm
here.
not that old. But we did, it was a
Forever
little
of-
bittersweet because in July of 2016 was our 20th anniversary. And then we had the fire in August of 2016. I had 20 years to plan a 20th anniversary, and I couldn't even have that. So we're hoping to get open and have a 21st anniversary, legal drinking age for the restaurant, and do it that way. But the permits, I think, just from the last time I had to go through any permits process, it was more of a apply, go down there. Sometimes you could get things walked through that day, depending on how extreme it was. Now it's sort of a submit online, no interaction with anybody. You put it in, and then they have to
Can't even get a
back
phone
in
number.
touch with you. And it seems like it's kind of, maybe it's just a new process that's taken some time to work out.
I think we hear you.
I just have a couple
Go
of
ahead.
comments, if I could. It's such a pleasure to see Mel Kandinsky and Councilwoman
Doing
Clark on the
something right.
same page. And it's also a pleasure. Yes, Mr. Danik, you've brought them together.
I haven't said anything, so I'm
Extension just
quiet.
for that.
And
Amazing what talk
it's
does
also
to
nice
do.
to see that Mr. Kandinsky's clientele, at least this morning, they're not all from Eritrea. It's also nice.
I'll learn how to say it eventually.
Okay. I just want to say, Mr. Danik, I have very fond memories of going to Holy for Holies some time ago. I used to live in Wyman Park, and I give you a lot of credit because I often think that your investment and your risk was really a huge impetus for everything around Hamden. So I give you a tremendous amount of credit, and I'm sorry that this fire has occurred and that you're facing these obstacles. So I wish you the best of luck, and I certainly support this, and we'll be back. I know this has been a tough time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
My
So
heart goes out to
on
you.
the basis of the request that is in the record and the representation of council, and your testimony, the testimony of Councilwoman Clark, I'd vote to approve the extension.
I vote to approve the extension, and just as a footnote, I don't know if there's an opportunity to go into that sort of maker space at our house, which is sort of a pop-up. I think that you'd probably get a lot of love and support there. Just a little discreet area that's set aside for situations just like yours. So I approve.
I concur as well, and would encourage you by all means to reach out to commission staff if you ever have any issues in the next 6 months, so that we can try and help from our perch to get you up and running. Best of luck.
Good luck, thanks.
We actually do have one. I won't say what it is today, but thank you for the invitation, and I'll be talking with Tom. So see if we can lay the groundwork for a hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
Alright.
think that's
Best of
our
luck.
morning
Oh,
docket. There's the exhibits.
Yes. Exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, photos of fire damage and renovations. Thank you.
Okay, we will recess until 1 o'clock.
All right.
Good afternoon. This is the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's afternoon violations docket. Today is Thursday, March 9th, 2017. When you hear your case called, please step up to the microphones and state your name clearly. If you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. And on one last note, if you have any phones or electronic devices, please put them on vibrate or silent. Mr. Chair, if I may, there's one preliminary matter.
Yes.
This was docketed as Case 6. This was John Durkin, Michael Mastaloni, and Thomas Mink Jr., Mad River Baltimore LLC, Mad River Bar and Grill, 1110 through 12 South Charles Street. It's a violation of Rule 4.01, sales to minors. This matter has been postponed and will be set on a future date.
Thank you.
Calling the first case, Margaret Anderson and Marie Ann Oakes, Margie's Inn Incorporated, trading as Fred and Margie's Inn, 3603 through 05, Fairhaven Avenue. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 4.12, gambling.
Counsel?
Richard Karseski, K-A-R-C-E-S-K-I, for the licensees. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can I ask everyone to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Before we begin, Margaret Anderson? Have you ever been represented by the law firm Whiteford Taylor Preston? Okay, it's just, I have to do a conflict check, and that name showed up. I don't think it's that unusual a name, Margaret Anderson, so maybe there was another one, but I had to ask. Thank you. Counsel, is this going to be an admission or a contested case?
I think we're going to contest it, Mr. Chair.
That's fine. Detective, you were sworn. You want to tell us?
Detective Abraham Gatto, Baltimore City Vice. December 11th and 12th of 2016, I was conducting an undercover investigation in Fred and Margie's Bar, 3605 Fairhaven Avenue. I was in this location portraying myself as a patron. On the 11th, when I went in around 1300 hours, I noticed there were 5 poker machines within the establishment at the time.
Chairman, I'd like to object. I'm sorry to interrupt the witness, but I want to tell you and the commissioners the reason for the objection as the detective's testimony is about to unfold. May I give you my reason?
Sure. Go ahead.
He's talking about what he referenced as poker machines. I have a notice that speaks about gambling in the sense it's an illegal sport bookmaking operation. Now, poker machines are not that. I think we all know that, and I'm going to object to any reference to any poker machines in this hearing, since the notice doesn't say anything about that.
I'm not sure I caught what you were saying, so can you repeat?
I was simply explaining the situation, what the bar was like for the board. I'm just giving you guys an idea of what I saw when I went in there.
I mean, if it's not relevant to the charge, it won't be considered, obviously.
Oh, there's a charge in reference to the poker machines, but that'll be later.
Okay.
Again,
Why don't we just hear his
in
testimony?
my testimony.
It sounds like he's just laying out the situation, what was inside and what the setting was, but not raising allegations
So,
yet.
if we get to the charge, we'll deal with the objection, okay?
Okay. Okay. It's December 11th, 2016, 1300 hours. So
And I hate to interrupt you again, but this says December 21. Is that the wrong date?
Yeah, that's not the date. The dates I have here with this exhibit here, which is Exhibit 2, is my search warrant affidavit.
Okay.
If you go to the probable cause statement, which is that, you'll see it's the 11th.
I did. Have you seen this, counsel?
I have.
Okay.
And just for the record, the reason it was charged on December 21st was because that was the day they executed the search warrant. So December 11th and December 12th, and I believe this is what the detective is going to be testifying to, laid the probable cause and the foundation for obtaining the search warrant and executing the search warrant on December 21st.
All right.
That's why it was charged on December 21st.
Okay.
Okay. I entered the location. I observed 4 people playing the poker machines at this time. I had a seat at the bar. At this time, there were patrons seated around me. During this time, I was watching the football games. There was various games on the TVs there. Patrons who were seated next to me and down the bar were, I overheard them speaking about making bets on different games, and blocks of 5 and 10 and then 25 person bets. There was an individual a name that kept coming up by the name of Chuck. When is Chuck going to get here? When is Chuck going to get here? Because I later discovered that he was the individual that was running the majority of the gambling. At one time, while I was observing and watching and hearing patrons make bets to the different games, the bartender at the time, I do not know her name, called this Chuck to get directions on how to place these certain bets. I observed this I was in there probably till the evening games, which were around, I'd say they started at 4 o'clock. I was there till about 6. The next day, which is Monday Night Football, which is the 12th of December 2016, I entered the location and I was able to observe this individual who went by the name of Chuck. I observed him using a deck of cards to pick different betting blocks with patrons. The game that was on at the time was Ravens versus Patriots. So there was a lot of bets on that particular game. All the meanwhile, as I'm sitting there making my observations, there was a female seated at one of the poker machines. She had a score which was a 4-digit score. At one point, her friend that was with her told her that she wanted to go home because the game was no longer entertaining. The Patriots were beating the Ravens pretty good. And the lady seated at the poker machine said, "Let me get my score to an even number so I can cash out." So I sat there and waited, watched her play her machine till she got to an even number. She then motioned to the bartender at the time, which was being referred to as D. D walked over, looked at her score. They had a conversation in reference to how many points the lady had. D then left the poker machine, walked over to the cash register, picked up a piece of paper, and started writing down the score and out loud saying 600 points, like that. And then she started counting with like a calculator, withdrew money from the cash register, and paid the lady. The lady left the establishment. I stayed in the establishment for, I think, if I'm correct, probably an hour after that. During that time, I was able to observe Chuck and other people continue to make bets on the different quarters of the game, and I was also able to observe that they keep the money from the different games, all these different envelopes from different various games in the cash register that is used at the bar. Then skipping forward to the 21st of December, 2016 at 20:50 hours, Sergeant Leiser, myself, Detective Greenhill, Detective Akawande, Detective Garrett, executed a signed search warrant, which was signed by the Honorable Judge, let me get the name correctly here, Kogan. That was signed on the 15th of December. We entered the establishment. We were able to meet one of the licensees here, identify her. She was on scene. We gave her a unsigned copy of the search warrant. We showed her the signed copy. Once the premises was secured and the patrons that didn't need to be there were removed, we attempted to get the keys to the poker machines so we didn't have to break them open. The licensee was not able to get the keys from an individual who holds them, involved with the bar. At this time, we've entered the poker machines by force, and I have various currency removed from the machines. Machine 1 was empty. Machine 2 had $296. Machine 3 had $610. Machine 4 had $120. Machine 5 was empty. Recovered by Detective Garrett from the Maryland Lottery. Machine was $263. Recovered from the cash register by Sergeant Leisure was $221. And underneath the money tray inside the cash register, excuse me, were numerous envelopes titled with the following football matchups: Dallas versus New York Giants, currency inside that. Redskins versus Panthers, currency inside that envelope. Giants versus Eagles, currency inside that envelope. Vikings versus Packers, no money inside that envelope. New England versus the Jets, money in the envelope. Ravens versus Steelers, money in the envelope. The grand total from all the football matchups and envelopes in the register was $405. Also inside these envelopes were various betting blocks, various unknown names, and I wrote possibly patrons, and the amounts that these patrons have bet. With that total money recovered, it was submitted to ECU. The execution of the search warrant went without incident. We turned the bar back over to the licensee, and all events occurred in Baltimore City, Maryland.
Before you question, can I have 1 second with Commissioner?
Yeah, it's okay, it's okay.
Okay, questions for the witness?
Mr. Chairman, my questions, I don't know what the chair and the commissioners will decide about my argument involving the poker machine.
So the poker, your argument is that they are lawful, is that correct? No.
I'd have to be drinking before I come here to make that argument.
Okay.
The argument I make, Mr. Chairman, is this. I think, I understand that this body is not governed by the Title V rules. I know that clearly. However, I think a notice is a notice, and I think it should be what it says it is, and alert council and alert the licensees as to what the alleged violation is.
No, I understand your objection now.
It says gambling, but it doesn't specify that it has anything to do with poker machines. It simply says illegal sports booking. And I think we all know that. We don't need a definition of what that is. And so I don't think anything involving poker machines should be allowed. And that's basically the reason why, one of the reasons I'm having requested a contested hearing.
Well, the, you know, I think each of the commissioners will have to decide for himself or herself as to how broadly they want to read this. But I hear your argument, and the violation that is in front of me has to do with the envelopes that were found, the total currency of $405 that had to do with the professional football matchups and the betting on that. So I'd be satisfied that we proceeded on that basis.
Thank you. So that curtails the number of questions. The person you refer to as Chuck, that was the gentleman that was the conductor of this pool, I guess, right?
He appeared to be. He appeared to be.
And you have no reason to believe that he is anything but a patron at that bar? Is that what you believe him to be?
I have some suspicion he may be domestically involved with maybe one of the licensees.
He's not an owner of the bar or licensee of the bar. You don't.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Those are the only questions I have.
Okay. Thank you, Detective. Do you want to put on evidence?
I'm going to call Ms. Oakes to be a witness.
That's
So
fine.
You've been sworn?
Yes.
Please give us your full name for the record.
My name is Marie Oakes.
You are one of the licensees of Marge's Inn, is
Yeah,
that correct?
yes.
Okay.
When you speak, can you lean into
Oh, I'm
this
sorry.
because we're being recorded? Thank
Oh,
you.
sorry.
I'm hoping Mr. Karczewski's voice is being picked up, but I'm not 100% sure.
What I'd like to ask you is with reference to the charge or the allegation that football pools were found at the bar, Fred and Marge's Inn, located on Fairhaven Avenue. You don't disagree that they were found there, is that correct?
No, I don't.
Okay. And do you know this gentleman as known as Chuck as a patron of the bar?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me what you know about Chuck and football pools, what you said to him?
Yes. Unfortunately, a few months prior to that, my mother and I both noticed that there were some football pools there. I noticed him with one. And he said that it come from his work, and I said, we do not allow that in here. So, of course, he said, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. I said, if you do bring that in here, you know I'd have to tell you have to leave the establishment, pretty much bar you. So, unfortunately, this one day he happened to be in there, and he went to go do a job. Neither one of us were
Do you
there.
know the day this was that he went to do a job?
I believe it was on the Wednesday. It was on a Wednesday, I know that.
Well, let me ask you this. Can you tell us whether or not it was the day that the police came
Yes,
to the
it was just,
establishment?
yes, it was.
Okay, were you
Okay.
there at that time? when the police
No,
entered?
I was home with my children.
Okay, fine. So, continue, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. And unfortunately, he went to do a job. From what I gathered after all this happened, because I was very unaware that these pools were in our register. Unfortunately, the bartender, he handed the bartender these pools to put in her purse, but she put them in our register till. So of course, she's terminated from her job, of course, and that's where the story lies, but
You terminated her from the job after this occurred?
absolutely.
And the reason you did was, for what reason?
Because of those pools. They did not belong in the establishment. He was told not to have them in there, and our employees know about that also.
And Miss Anderson is your mother, is that correct?
Yes, she is.
Did either you or Miss Anderson allow football pools to be used or
Not at all.
at the bar?
No.
That's all we have.
When you say the day that the police came, are you talking about December 21 when you were served with the search and seizure warrant?
I know it was a Wednesday, just because I'm home on Wednesday nights.
Okay. And who was present when they served it? Your mother?
My mother was there. Mhm.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
Let me go after Commissioner Greenfield.
So who is Chuck?
He's a patron.
He's
One
a
of the
patron.
patrons. He doesn't come quite often anymore. We haven't seen him for a while, so.
But you don't disagree that this occurred, do you?
No, I don't, not at all.
So what efforts did you make to prevent it from the first time that you flagged it, other than telling Chuck that this doesn't occur here?
Well, I told him that, you're not allowed to bring that in here. He goes, well, and trying to explain to people that, everything that transpires in there comes back to her and I, not to them. And it's hard to let people know that.
No, I appreciate that.
To be honest with you. But I don't know. I don't know why he did that. And then I hear this gentleman saying that he saw him prior to the warrant was served. No, I don't know.
So Detective Gatto suggested that Chuck has some relationship with the licensee in some capacity.
He's just a very good patron, but used to be.
So Chuck doesn't have access, or
Not at
doesn't
all.
in any way put himself out as someone who, is above a patron. He doesn't go behind the bar.
No, he's not a patron at all.
Did he have a relationship with the bartender that you terminated?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Not that I'm aware of.
Is there any criminal case going on? Is it a?
Yes.
Mhm.
And so that has not been resolved.
It's tomorrow.
Commissioner Moore, I may have other questions, but
What is Chuck's last name? I'm asking these ladies, either one of you, what is Chuck's last name? He's a regular patron. He sounds like he's there on the regular.
I believe it's Johnson or something like to that.
Oh, okay, thank you. So Detective Gatto has handed me a paper. His name is Charles Leroy Johnson, 1660 Furnace Drive, Glen Burnie, Maryland. So how long has he been a patron of your bar? It sounds like he's a really good patron.
I mean, first, our bar is in it used to be a great neighborhood, and this is off the record, but.
No, it's on the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, whatever. But, my mother and I struggle there a lot. And of course, he knows as a police officer how bad that neighborhood is.
So I'm not so
I
caring about the
understand.
neighborhood. I just want to know about Mr. Johnson, how often he comes. It sounds like he's a
mean,
really good patron. How often would you say that he, and I need you to, how often would you say he comes in?
Maybe 2 to 3 times a week
Okay.
that I see.
And how often are you at the bar?
Me, I'm there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday during the day. Sometimes during the day on Thursday and Friday, sometimes at night, Friday and Saturday.
So you're there pretty regular,
And my mother lives upstairs.
and your mom lives upstairs. Do you own the building?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So Chuck is there 2 to 3 times a week, and he's running these football pools or matchups, correct? And
From what I gather, there was a few people there that had, after this transpired, you know, the information that I've gathered, there's a few people that got on this pool with him. I don't know if they're strictly his or if they come from somewhere else. I don't know.
how did the envelopes get into your cash register?
Apparently, he went to go do a job.
What does that mean, go do a job?
I don't know.
What is
been
his
on a
job?
He does like commercial tinting. Tinting for like security film on windows, like government buildings and things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
And I think it actually come from his job. It's a group of people in his job that had these pools. And there's a couple friends at our establishment that wanted to get on the pool. That's from what I gather.
Okay.
And the pools, he was going into a bad neighborhood and didn't want to carry the cash with him. So he gave it to the girl who was working that evening to hold in her purse. And she stuck them in the register.
And how do you know that?
That's what I was told.
By who?
Well, when I found out that they were found, of course, in there, the girl working that night, I questioned her, how'd they get in there? Pretty much. And we have cameras that I seen him hand her the pools and go like this, tell her to put them in her purse. She walked over to the register and stuck them in there.
Okay.
So who was managing the establishment during this period?
Well, my
When you
mom was
weren't there?
upstairs.
She was upstairs. It's because this detective was sitting there observing this for some period of time, and yet no one who owned or operated the place saw this going on?
No, sir, I didn't see that.
I mean, we're not, it's only, my mom, you know, she's staring, she can't stare at the camera the whole time, but,
Okay.
I take care of my.
yeah,
I'm
of course.
sorry. I take care of my grandchildren
Mm-hmm.
a few hours a day after school. And I wasn't aware that they had put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like there was a lot of activity over a period of time that was happening in your establishment. And you realize that, don't you?
Well, yes, ma'am, apparently it was happening, but I told this man, I don't want any of that in there. And he was told.
So I have grandchildren too. And I tell my granddaughter often, I don't want that. I don't want you to do that. And she does it anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you know what I do? We impose consequences.
Well,
So what were the consequences? I mean, you were telling him, I don't want you to do it. He's doing it anyway. It sounds like you guys haven't even told him he can't come back in, because you just say we haven't seen him in a while, like he's still welcome there.
I told him I don't want him in that place anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've told him that.
Time, please.
So when your daughter's not there and when you're not there, who's taking care of this establishment?
Well,
Is there ever,
Me and I'm there 7 days a week. The only time I leave that place is from time I pick my grandchildren go to Thomas Johnson School. I pick them up at 2:30 and they stay with me upstairs till my daughter gets off of work because we have no other family.
It's just us.
And then I take my daughter home because we have one car. And then I come back and I'm there the whole entire night.
so from 2:30 until when your daughter gets off work, who's taking care of this restaurant?
Upstairs, ma'am.
And I'm
Who's-
downstairs, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
You only can speak one at a time. I'm sorry, I know you're not aware of this, but so try to keep that.
All right, let me get some clarity.
Okay.
Is there ever a time when you're not there and your daughter is not there?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is running the shop during those periods? Now you can talk.
I have my bartender's been with me for 10 years, Jenny Bowen.
All right. Now, is it that the person who you fired for?
No.
Okay.
no.
So sometimes you're not there and your daughter's not there and Ginny is not there.
There's only 2 days that I'm really not there. I'm by myself most of the time. I have to go to the store. I go buy supplies, and I'm there mostly all the time. I gave my home up to live upstairs, so I could be there.
I have empathy. I do. I understand. But I'm just really trying to understand who is there when you're not there, your daughter's not there, and Jenny, the bartender, is not there. Someone's
Jenny's there when I'm not there, which is very seldom.
What's the name of the bartender that got fired for?
Dawn.
Okay. Now, who was managing when Dawn was there and received these envelopes?
I was
Who?
there, ma'am.
You were in the shop.
I was upstairs.
So you weren't.
And I came downstairs. I had 3 friends I went to school with, and I was down there when the officers came in. And I wasn't even aware of those envelopes.
So it sounds like Jenny wasn't there, you weren't there, your daughter wasn't there, and Dawn was there bartending and receiving the money.
With my grandchildren, till my daughter came, and then I went downstairs, and apparently they were already in the cash drawer.
I'm just trying to get you to focus on the time when the money, Dawn, I guess, put the money in the cash register.
I don't know.
Who was managing the restaurant at that time?
Well, I'm right upstairs.
I didn't ask you that.
I know.
So nobody was managing it. Nobody was there, right? I mean, I'm not being critical, but I just need you to listen.
I understand.
I just need you to listen. You weren't there, your daughter wasn't there
Dawn was behind the bar, yes, ma'am.
by herself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Those are all the questions I have.
Nothing further.
Okay. Counsel, anything else?
Is there any video hookup that you have that you're able to monitor anything at the bar?
Mm-hmm.
Is it upstairs?
Yes, it is.
So when you say you weren't at the bar, you mean physically you were not
At the bar.
standing at the bar, but you were in the building?
Yes,
And even though you were with your grandchildren, there was a monitor that you could see from time to time?
yes, there was.
And I think your testimony was you didn't look at it all the time. Is that right?
Not when you have 2 little children now.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the evidence that's been presented this afternoon in connection with this violation, I would find a violation of Rule 4.12 gambling as of December 21, 2016. And that's because I find the 2 of you as the licensees responsible for what was going on within the establishment at that time, and I found the detective's testimony credible about that. And I'll let the other commissioners rule, but then I want to hear from your counsel on mitigation. Okay.
I agree with the finding of responsibility for the violation.
I concur with the chairman.
Okay. So, Mr. Karczewski, they have, 4 years ago, they had a sale to a minor. It looks like that's probably the only violation we have in our record. Not that it's insignificant, but it's a while ago. Do you want to be heard on disposition?
I'd like to say something, Mr. Chairman. And,
Can you
and
talk into the
please,
microphone so we can be
I
sure
have to
to
ask
hear
you to
you?
I
step.
can't imagine that this is not capturing my voice, but in any event,
You'd be surprised. You can
What?
watch it on YouTube and make your own judgment.
no, I have other
Right,
things.
exactly.
So I don't want any one of the 3 of you to take this as an attack, but I did not have an opportunity to make a statement regarding the issue of the case. Now it's way too late to make it, but I'm just going to say that the essence of what I was going to argue is that I think the gambling allegation requires that the licensee allow this to happen. I think that's the operative word. And if you would have found that there was not an allowance of it to happen, the mere fact that it happened is insufficient. I think you understand. I need not go any further. I just wanted to make that part of the record because you have heard the testimony from Ms. Oakes that she did not allow this fella Chuck to do this. He did it in any event. She gives her explanation. My mitigation is,
Can I just respond quickly? And that is that, at least in my judgment, there was a reasonable inference that they were allowing it to happen. That was why I ruled for
well,
the
I
violation.
expected that was what Mr. Chairman would say to that, but
No, I
nevertheless,
would
that's
just-
my argument.
I understand the argument.
I mean, just to be clear, I would concur. I mean, all of my questions were trying to establish who was in control of this restaurant space. And it was obvious that at least at the time that she witnessed an envelope being placed in the cash register, she was not in control. Being present upstairs with 2 grandchildren is absolutely the opposite of control. I've got 2 grandchildren. I know that when I've got them, and they've got me, and I'm not trying to do my work. It's impossible. So they certainly allow this to happen. Neither licensee was present. Mr. Johnson is a regular patron. It sounds like there was talk that this was happening, that there were their own patrons who wanted to participate in the pool. It's as though there was, she was trying to have plausible deniability by saying she was upstairs, but they certainly laid the groundwork to allow this to happen.
I mean, not to prolong this, but I'm sure you're aware, Counsel, that the Court of Appeals recently ruled in the Kugel case, in the context of an adult entertainment establishment, that the licensees are strictly liable. And I don't know that they would go entirely differently under these circumstances.
Well, that's debatable. And Judge, from your prior life, you know that all of these issues are debatable. And I think if there is a woman on a pole dancing in a bar, that's quite obvious. If there's a pool and an envelope that deals with football games, and by the way, beginning today and for the next 2 weeks, every police station, every lawyer's office, every state's attorney's office, every business is going to have a bracket. And, you know, I'm not making light of it. Gambling is gambling. I understand it. But I don't agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that this is a strict liability situation. And
Although, just
the
let me
lady
correct
never
you,
did say...
it wasn't dancing on the pole, it was a solicitation,
Well,
which is
but
not
still.
unlike soliciting a bet, but...
Woman on a pole is 100% legal. There's nothing illegal about that, and there's no reason to hide it. But the football pool that's at issue here is illegal.
Okay.
Period.
Anyway, we're at disposition, so we've found the violation. Is there anything further you want to add on disposition?
No, I think that this these licensees run a fairly clean operation, and they are not people who repeatedly come before you. And I understand that a sale to a minor is a very, very serious violation, but sometimes, you know, what happens is, and I don't know what happened in that case, it's history, it's water under the bridge, but sometimes in the rush of the day, people just don't do what they should be doing. I ask that that what you do here be mitigated to the least common denominator. That's all I can say.
Okay. So, ladies, for a second violation, the board is authorized to impose fine up to $3,000. And, of course, we can suspend your license for a period of time. I respectfully disagree with Mr. Karczewski about the seriousness of this, but I appreciate the fact that you've only had one prior one. So I would impose a fine of $1,000, and I would suspend the license for 2 days.
I would impose a higher fine. I would impose $1,500 and suspend the license for 4 days.
Mr. Greenfield, it's up to you.
So I feel for you. I do, because I know this is tough. But and I know that you're sorry for what happened, and in many ways, I do think, as I already mentioned, that this did happen there. There's no question about it. You knew about it at some point, but it happened, and I think you are in violation. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna go with the chairman with respect to 2 days suspension, and I'm gonna do a $12.50 fine.
Well, we need a majority with that, so I will come to 1250, okay? So it'll be 2 to 1, 1250 in 2 days, 30 days to pay.
Any exhibits?
Yes. Call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, former City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, probable cause statement. Thank you. I can see you down here, Mr. Perkins.
I didn't hear what she said. Did she tell me to have a seat?
No,
I-
she's
I can see you
asking to
down
come
Oh.
talk
She
with
needs to
her.
give you something. Thank you.
Where are we getting?
Go ahead down there.
Oh, okay, all right.
May I?
So,
You may.
Calling the next case, Shova Shershan and Sura Thebe, Muna LLC, trading as Busy Bee, 4500 through 04 Erdman Avenue. There's a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. There's a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
For the record, Melvin J. Knansky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the licensee.
Is this going to be an admission or a contested case, sir?
It'll be an admission.
Okay. Can I ask your client to raise her right hand?
Raise your right hand. Smallis as well.
We're going to have a couple here. Have the deputies.
I don't know how many we need, but it's an admission, so. Okay, yes.
Can raise your hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
all right, before we begin, with the last case, we need to decide if the suspension starts immediately or tomorrow.
No.
He's saying immediately.
Thank you.
Stand back.
No, I think we're okay. And ma'am, your name for the record, please?
Give your name.
My name is Subha Sirson.
Okay. And Mr. Kennedy, do you know whether Muna LLC has ever been represented by my law firm?
I don't think so.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Showed up the name somewhere. Okay. Okay. The allegation is that there was a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on January 19, 2017, sale to minor, when a Ms. Cox entered the establishment and purchased a six-pack of Budweiser beer, Ms. Cox being under the age of 21. The licensee has admitted that that occurred, so would you like to be heard in mitigation?
Yeah, basically, this is the first offense for this licensee. She had disciplined Mr. Prem, who was the person that did the service, gave him a 2-day suspension. She's had the people, everybody certified, or are going to be certified in the establishment. I talked with the parties that were there. They said that everybody that was cooperative, there wasn't a problem. It's an isolated incident. It's the first time, but we don't want to make it a second or third time. And I explained to the licensee that this board takes these issues very, very, very seriously. And then she's been a licensee for about 2 years. This is the first time she's had an offense.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions?
No questions.
Is the BD7 operating?
Yes. Yeah, they were just making, there's a wall that we're moving from one side to another at the time that they got a permission for. And the board gave them an expansion probably 7 months ago or something.
Is that right? So it is operating?
Yeah.
Because, okay. All right, nothing further.
Okay. On the basis of the allegation that's contained in the record, the admission by the licensee of the violation, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01A on January 19, 2017. And it being the first offense, I would impose a fine of $500 and give her 30 days to pay it.
I concur, and I would just say that having a license just 2 years, that's not a long time. So clearly you've got to make sure that there's no more violations. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
I agree as well.
Give me a second, Mr. Kudensky. I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, City Police Department Investigation Report. Baltimore City Sheriff's Department. Sergeant Perez. Exhibit number 2, Investigation Report. Inspector John Cristomalis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, Chetan Sharma and Jatinder Singh, PNJ Incorporated, trading as Clubhouse Bar and Liquor, 4217 Erdman Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, and a violation of Rule 4.20C, small I, Class BD7 licenses, open and operating tavern at all times.
For the record, Melvin J. Konetsky, 19 East Bay Street, representing the licensee. This would be an admission also.
Okay, and can I ask your client to raise his right hand, or clients?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And would each of you gentlemen state your name for the record and spell it, please?
Manpreet Singh.
Spell it.
Chetan Sharma.
Can you spell your names, please?
Yeah.
CHETAN, Chetan Sharma.
Manpreet. Singh is last name. Singh.
Okay,
R-I-T or E-E-T?
EET.
okay. Thank you. So the allegation is that on January 19, 2017, there was a violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to minors, when Ms. Cox entered the establishment and purchased a six-pack of Budweiser beer bottles, Ms. Cox being under the age of 21, and a violation of Rule 4.20C2, Class BD7 license, open and operating tavern at all times on January 19, 2017, when the inspectors observed that the tavern portion of the establishment was not operating. The licensees have admitted those allegations. Would you like to be heard in mitigation?
In reference to the tavern part of it, the licensee was, got a big delivery of alcohol that day, and they had all the stock on the floor. As a consequence, they were trying to put the stock away, and that's the situation with regard to the tavern. But I have in here a subsequent report from February 22nd, in which there was inspection, in which the bar was open and operating as a tavern, and everything was clean, and all the stock was put on the side. As to the minor, I talked with the licensee. There, of course, they had a sale back about 4 years ago, actually 5 years ago.
Actually, 7 years ago.
7 years? 2010, okay. And in the meantime, they have taken steps to make sure that people get certified, that it wouldn't happen again. I've explained to them that at all times, even if they're getting inspection deliveries, the bar has to be open at the same time, because it seems to be sometimes this is a common occurrence in some places. And I mentioned to them that that's something this board has been following up on, and they're not to take at any time lightly. And I think they understand that, because they've been penalized, and it's forearmed is forewarned.
Well, it's been some time since that violation, I agree. And 5 years ago, they had the same violation for failure to operate a tavern, to which they pled guilty. So there's a bit of a pattern, although it's not recent. The commissioners have questions?
No questions.
So can you explain, Mr. Kudinski, or maybe your client, the delivery of stock was the reason why the tavern was not open, if I heard you correctly, that
They had
day?
it all piled up on the floor when it was coming up, and they were trying to make sure that they could get it put away. In the meantime, that they were putting their major emphasis on that.
Sure, no, I understand that. But then we also have a note that the coolers were not plugged in and operating, and the public was barred from the use of the restroom. Can you speak to that?
He can explain it.
Speak
Give
into
your
the
name when
microphone.
you say it first.
Yeah, Manpreet Singh. The sign outside over there for the public restroom, it is for the people who's on the street, but it is not for the bar people. We put it out there because they make a mess, that there are people on the street, so sometimes we don't get a cleaning and we don't notice if the bathroom is dirty or something. That was the purpose of
No,
putting
I
the
understand that. Okay, that makes sense. But can you speak to the coolers not plugged in and operating?
Those two coolers were, there were 4 coolers. One was plugged already. The 2 were not working properly. So we unplugged those. And other reason, that was the reason, so that has been repaired also, because they were pretty old coolers, so you don't get parts locally, so you have to order them.
Okay.
And it's just in the bar side, the storage room is in the basement, and the basement door is in the bar. So they pulled out stuff, and sometimes they just leave it. It's employees' error. They shouldn't have done that. But bar was running and operating. We never close it down. Anytime customers comes,
You've addressed this going forward? Going forward, you've addressed this?
Yes.
This will no longer be an
Yes,
issue?
we've been there from 2006.
Thank
So
you.
we've been running it.
Nothing further.
Anything further? Okay. On the basis of the allegations contained in the charging documents, the admissions from the licensee, and their testimony, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to minor, on January 19, 2017. I would also find a violation of Rule 4.20C, small ii, on January 19, 2017, failure to operate as a tavern. As to the first violation, I would impose a fine of $750 and give you 30 days to pay it. As to the second violation, I would impose a fine of $750 and give you 30 days to pay it.
I concur.
I concur as well.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. You got, might as well sit here.
1,500 and then 125 admin fee.
Yes. Board Exhibit 1, Sheriff's Department, Investigation Report, Deputy Perez. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Inspector John Christopher Malice. Licensee Exhibit 1, Inspection Report dated February 22nd, 2017, Inspector Perez. Thank you.
Is Mr. Karczewski still here? Could you come forward for a second? Yes, can we recall that case, please?
All right.
Bryson?
Yeah, we're good.
Mayor?
Fred Marcus.
Yes, Fred Marges. Recalling Margaret Anderson and Marie Ann Oakes, Marge's Inn Incorporated, trading as Fred and Margie's Inn, 3603 through 05 Fairhaven Avenue, a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, so violation of Rule 4.12, gambling.
Mr. Karczewski, you want to be heard on the suspension?
Mr. Chairman, my clients are outside. They are still here. And the reason I asked the the chairman's reconsideration is the suspension is effective today. The truth of the matter is these are, according to my clients, they're 2 very busy dinner days. They are struggling somewhat to make it go. And they've requested that I ask if the board would allow them to do this next week, during the week, to suffer the suspension. That's what we're
So,
asking.
are they open Monday and Tuesday of next week?
Yes, they are.
That would be acceptable to me if it is to the other commissioners.
It, honestly, it's not acceptable to me, and here's why. And it's not to hurt their business, but I feel like they've avoided responsibility on the poker machines. I think they got a pretty light penalty. There's no question that this happened. The penalty isn't imposed as a convenience to the licensees. It's imposed because wrongdoing, a violation of the rules. And I don't think in the times that I've been a commissioner, I don't recall scheduling a suspension to the convenience of the licensee. And just for me, that's something that I'm not willing to do.
Mr. Chairman, can we have the licensees back? Is that appropriate?
It's fine. Can you bring them in?
Thank you. give an explanation. They were talking, and I didn't want them to continue, so I asked them just to wait for me out in the hallway.
Ladies, you're still under oath.
I just have questions. Your attorney has asked for us to move the suspension to next week.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain to me why that's so critical to you? Please.
Me, sir.
Or you, either of you.
Well, we have meetings, have the Lions Club that comes in through the weekend, and CSX, they have their meetings. And, of course, the weekends are prime time for business, sir. That's the main reason. I've been in that place 40 years. I know it doesn't concern, and I really try hard to run that place by myself. I'm 70 years old, and I'll try to do the best I can.
You can still be open, but you can't sell alcohol.
It's no use, ma'am.
I don't mean to. I sincerely believe that you are sorry for what occurred.
Oh, I am sorry.
I absolutely believe that. What I'm struggling with is just what Commissioner Moore had mentioned, that these suspensions aren't meant to be a convenience.
Interesting.
I'm struck by both pieces, both your genuine
Yes, sir.
apology and the emotions I see
Yes, sir.
with the fact that we've got to make a tough decision. So I'm probably going to turn things a little bit up on the cart here, but I would concur with the chairman to the extent that it's Monday through Wednesday of a suspension next week, giving you the weekend, with the understanding that we won't ever see you in the afternoon docket again.
Yes, sir.
That's my position, Mr. Chairman.
Is that acceptable as an alternative?
Do you want to do that, or you just, it's up to
You
you?
want to take Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week?
Yeah,
or
I
today
have
and
to
tomorrow?
close Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, sir, of next week.
As opposed to today and tomorrow?
Yes, sir, I really appreciate that.
She
Okay.
just has a big meeting.
All right, that would be a 2-to-1 decision then, and it will be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the
Of
inspectors.
next week.
Yes.
sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's Monday's date. Ma'am, just stay here for a second. Okay.
Two more. This is,
Mr. Chairman, may I call the next case?
please.
Calling Marka Browning, Dog Watch Tavern LLC, trading as Dog Watch Tavern, 709 South Broadway. This is a Class BD7 Beer Wine liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the licensee. This will be an admission here also.
Okay, thank you. This is, the charge is a violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to minors on January 19, 2017, at which time it is alleged that Ms. Cox, who was under the age of 21, purchased alcoholic beverages for a total of $8.18 and bought 2 Bud Light beer bottles from either the bartender or store clerk. Is there mitigation?
Yes, there's, I'll let the licensee, because she's done a fair amount of work, in trying to make, right the ship here. Originally, she had another person that was on the license with her. That didn't work out well. That person had to leave. She's been taking over the operation of the place by herself. This is her whole staff here, and she thought it was important enough that they come down here so she can explain how important it is for her to run this operation. This was the gentleman that received the suspension as a result of this, and then she's going to tell you what steps that she's done, which I thought are very good. you can.
Can I ask
give me-
all of you to raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And before you speak, please give us your name and spell it.
My name is Marka Browning, Marka, last name Browning, Browning.
Thank you, Ms. Browning. What would you like to tell us?
Now, tell the board what you've done since then, the things you were telling me outside.
So leading up to this, there is no excuse, there's no apology that can make it okay. I thought that it was important that my entire management staff be here to see the severity of this. I have since taken over my business in the last 2 years because of similar problems with a partner that I was no longer comfortable with. I thought
Let me
that
just stop you there. So this license transferred in 2011. Were you on the license then?
I was, and
With someone else?
With someone else, and in 2015, I actually took it over. We separated.
Okay.
Pass, and I became the sole owner.
Thank you. I didn't mean to.
So I, at that time, I thought that this would never be a problem that I would have to deal with again. But in the meantime, even before this had happened, every 3 years, I actually have my entire staff tip certified on the business because I do think that it's important. And we have a wonderful trainer that we have used. I don't know if you want to see it, but this was my 2015 in May. I had my entire staff actually and regulars and any relation to our staff that wanted to be trained. I offered that at my expense for our community. I don't know if you want to see that or
It's
not.
up to you whether you want to submit it.
Oh, I don't know.
If you have it with you, might as well.
It will be received.
And then, as a result, even though we still had another year before that certification would expired, I actually had our entire staff retrained again because of this violation. And Danielle from our QRS training class, that's the confirmation receipt. She got us in as soon as she could, but we're just waiting on the actual paperwork from her, but that's the confirmation paperwork for that.
That will be received as well.
As far as Dean goes, he is extremely sorry and embarrassed that this has happened. Generally, I think I would part ways with anyone, but in the 1.5 to 2 years that Dean has been with us, he has been nothing but an upstanding, amazing employee. To the fact that I did entrust him that night with the keys and management duties to close the building. There's no excuse for why it happened. He was suspended until he was recertified, even though he did have a current certification that he got before he joined us. Sorry, I have that too. He was currently TIP certified at the time, but apparently disregarded his training. So he was suspended until he retook the course. He's been placed on a 1-year probation, and he is aware that if there's any violation during this time, it'll result in his termination. He's lost his key holding privileges, and it's, yeah.
This is one of the forms that you use.
Yeah, we call them
whenever
bad
an
dogs,
incident
Dog
is
Watch
called
Tavern.
Bad dog report.
But, as Commissioner Moore often says, we don't encourage people to terminate their employees, but what we want to see is that people are taking corrective measures to see that the employees are better trained and that these incidents don't occur again. So I think that's helpful. Anything further?
That's about, I see they've taken whatever corrective steps they should. It's just unfortunate. You hear the story. I'm not going to keep pushing it, to death, but.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
Which person is Dean?
Sorry, Dean.
Dean,
Birch.
okay. So do you agree with what has been testified to about what happened and the response to what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so far, things are, oops.
Give your name.
Dane, D-A-I-N-E. Last name Birch, B-I-R-C-H.
So it's Dane Birch. Okay, and since this happened, you've had no issues, no problems since this occurred?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Give you a lot of credit, Ms. Browning and Mr. Birch and your team. I know this is tough, Mr. Birch, to come here and admit responsibility, but you did. I give you a tremendous amount of credit for that, for owning up for it. And Ms. Browning, I give you a lot of credit for bringing your management in to see that this isn't, that this is fairly serious stuff. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I have no questions.
Okay, on the basis of the allegation contained in the record, as well as the admission and testimony of the licensee, I'd find a violation of Rule 401A, sale to minor on January 19, 2017. We've got a history of a prior sale back 5 years ago, and then a purchasing from someone other than a wholesaler 6 years ago. So they're not virgins before us, but it's been a while. So I would impose a fine of $750 and give them 30 days to pay it.
I agree, and I join in Commissioner Greenfield's comments about the response. I don't know that we've ever had a licensee bring their entire staff to sit, and you've been here all afternoon, observe our proceedings and to understand the seriousness of the violations, and they are serious, and they are hard, and they are emotional, and it's difficult. You know, we make hard decisions, and as you can see, we don't always agree on what should happen. But I think we're going. I don't know what Commissioner Greenfield will say, but I do join him in saying thank you for your response. I do often say we don't require that people be terminated. What you have laid out is exactly the kind of thing that I personally like to see, and I think it's sort of a message for other licensees. And there are different ways to respond to things like this, especially when you have a valued employee, as you said, who you trusted enough to give your keys to. So I want to thank you for that.
And I concur with my fellow commissioners for the 750 for 4.01.
Thank you very much.
30 days to pay?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Russell?
You've got to read the exhibits.
There are exhibits. Sorry. Board Exhibit 1, Deputy Perez Investigation Report. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Inspector John Christomalis. Licensee Exhibit 1, Alcohol Awareness Certification. Licensee Exhibit 2, Alcohol Awareness Recertification Invoice. Licensee Exhibit 3, Tips Certification for Dane Birch. And Licensee Exhibit 4, Employee Write-Up. Thank you.
Calling the last case on the afternoon docket, Maria Alvarado and Edward Carvelo, Los Amigos Bar and Restaurant Incorporated, trading as Los Amigos Restaurant, 5506 Hartford Road. It's a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
Counsel.
Good afternoon. Somebody's got to be last, I guess. For the record, Karen Mazel on behalf of the licensee. This would be an admission, mitigation, and remediation.
Can I ask your client to raise her right hand, please?
You swear-
The other hand, ma'am.
Okay.
This right hand.
Right.
The right hand.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Say yes, please.
Yes,
Okay.
I said true.
Okay. So this is an allegation of a violation of 4.01A, sale to minor on January 19, when Ms. Cox, who we now know is under 21 years of age, or was then, purchased alcoholic beverages for a total of $4 and received 2 Bud Light beer bottles from the bartender or store clerk.
That is correct. My client does not dispute the incident occurred. This young lady actually works 7 days a week. On this particular occasion, she works from open to closed. She also serves food in there. And when this incident occurred, she was extremely upset. This is the one day she actually took off one day, and this incident occurred. As a result of this, I know the board doesn't like to see people terminated, but she was so upset she terminated that individual. She has, when I consulted with her, she is making efforts to have everyone who works in her establishment TAM certified. She herself actually went out and got an updated certificate as of yesterday. I'd present that to the board. She is in the process of having every single person that works there. There's only 4 people that work there, 2 of which have certificates, and the other 2 are in the process of being trained by Mr. Murphy. She understands, she's watched all of these cases, and she was extremely upset when she came to my office. And she's going to work to make sure that none of this occurs again, since she's there 7 days a week. And when she does take off one day, she's going to make sure that who's ever there is made aware of their responsibilities and what will happen if anything like this occurs.
Before the Commissioner's question, Ms. Alvarado, have you ever been represented by the law firm Whiteford Taylor Preston?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that's just name showed up on our conflicts check. Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
So Ms. Alvarado, this was transferred, this may have been one of the first things this commission approved, which is a transfer. Is that correct?
That's correct. She's never been before the board before, any type of violations whatsoever.
And this was transferred roughly May of 2016, so less than a year.
Yes, that's correct. It's her first offense.
Okay.
I'd ask grounds to do her mitigation to suspend a portion of the fine since she's doing everything she can, and she is a dedicated person that takes her responsibilities very seriously.
Okay. Anything further? On the basis of the allegation, the admission, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to minor on January 19, 2017, taking into account that it's the first offense. I would impose a fine of $300 and give her 30 days to pay it.
You okay? Yes. Okay, so I join in the chairman's decision, and just again say, you haven't had this license that long. Just confirming, I think you were one of the first cases that we heard as a group of 3 new commissioners. And I'm pretty sure we said when you came in, congratulations, happy to see you on the morning docket. Don't come back for the afternoon docket, but here you are. It hasn't even been a year. And I understand what was said in the circumstances, but you've got to redouble your efforts, and please, we don't want you to come back.
I would echo what Commissioner Moore said, and I would concur with the chairman for $300 for the violation.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Sheriff's Department Report, Deputy Perez. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Inspector John Cresamalis. Licensee Exhibit 1, Alcohol Awareness Certification, Maria Alvarado. Thank you.
I believe that's our docket. So we will adjourn until next week.
So I want to say.